Welcome to the Hot Rod Podcast with Ron Foreman and Brady Wright. We're the guys who eat, breathe, and live cars. Ron is the president and founder of the Rat Bastards Car Club and a longtime builder of awesome hot rods. Brady is the founder of the Idaho State Hot Rod Hall of Fame, a producer of car shows all across the Northwest, and the builder of the only rat rod ice cream truck in the state.
Hi, welcome to the show, number 374. Well, before we get started, be sure to hit the like and share buttons and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah. That way we get all kinds of money and fame and all kinds of cool stuff.
I feel ripped off.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm not getting any either. Hey, we got a great guest tonight. What do you say we bring him in?
Let's do it.
All right. Hey, so as promised, Brent Lundquist is here. Brent's club is, in case you haven't seen him on our show before, the North Idaho Rats and Kustoms, headquartered in Coeur d'Alene, but really active all over North Idaho. Welcome, buddy. How you doing?
Good, you?
Hey, good.
Hi, Brent.
Hi.
So we asked Brent to come because we're trying to get, this is number 2 in our series of many shows involving car clubs all over the country, really. And we're kind of concerned. I mean, we all love cars and we all love clubs, and clubs are a big part of the hobby. But, you know, our hobby is kind of suffering from a shortage of young rodders. And different clubs have different ways of dealing with young people coming in. Car clubs have a huge influence on how new hot rodders are welcome. So Brent's club, like I said, is the North Idaho Rats and Kustoms. And as the official king dude of his club, we thought it'd be perfectly logical to bring you here and talk. So let me just start with this one. Ron's got some questions too, but what do you really think the future of hot rodding as a sport might be, and how does your club contribute to the future?
The future is hard for our club because we focus on rat rods and custom cars. We tried to stay pre-1970, but we've been evolving that as we've been going anyways because of there's not too many, that's what we're here for. The future, actually, I just did this with my son on a college application, what the future of the hobby is. I think the future is going to be more drivers, more build as you go, more patina cars, more, it don't matter. I don't care what kind of car you got. If you're working on it, you're having fun. So, and I think this would be more street hot rods instead of trailer queens. Nobody can afford them anymore.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that one. I mean, but the hobby started that way. Nobody built a show car back in the day. You built a car that was your vision for what you wanted, and if it wasn't, slickly painted or it had mismatched parts, the point was getting it out on the road and driving it. And your first 2, 3, 5 cars aren't going to be, show cars. They're just not going to, unless you're, Elon Musk's kid. I mean, nobody's got that kind of money these days. But you got to start someplace. I mean, what do you think, Ron? That kind of tracks with what our club is about?
Yeah, it's just it's hard to predict the future with everything that's going on in the world today, and the high cost of everything right now is so expensive for even a spark plug's like almost $10.
It's true, and
a kid's kid, they're barely making. Even at McDonald's, you're making $19 an hour. They got to pay for their rent. They got to buy their groceries.
Oh, yeah.
They make their car payment on their car that they're driving just to get to work or go to school after work. Exactly. It's just really difficult right now.
Yeah. I mean, you're not lying. I bought a radiator hose today for my project. Cost me $60. It is what it is.
I probably got one in a milk crate in my garage, about 45 of them.
Well, I got like 18 different bends on the thing. I tried, but it is what it is. But
I collect them, and I see a bunch of them in a swap meet in a basket or something. They say, "Hey, what do you want for the whole basket?"
Yeah,
$10. Okay, it's mine.
And that's actually exactly how this is going to end up working. I mean, people. You can do what I did and go to the car parts store and buy a $60 hose, or you can get a whole bunch of them and have them hanging around, and maybe one will fit. And that's kind of the smart way to do it, I think.
Do the same thing with the pulleys on the harmonic balancer pulleys.
Yeah,
I've got several dozens of different pulleys just in case somebody needs one.
I'm coming over to your house
for a pulley.
I'm coming over to your house. I got a list.
Come on over.
So, I mean, this kind of is getting us to the thing. Kids, I mean, we've all been to shows, we've all been to cruise-ins and swap meets and everything. And anybody that brings a car, a custom car, a hot rod, a rat rod, anything that, is a little bit different, the kids, younger kids, I mean, driving age and younger, love to come around and see the cars. I mean, they love to look at them. They want to see them. They want to know everything about them. If they're lucky enough and they get an owner who's like comfortable having the kids in their cars, they get to sit in them and fiddle with them. And that's what sparks the interest, I think, in young kids, to maybe want to get involved. But the whole point of the hobby is you start them young so that they can kind of work their way into it. Now, Brent has 19 kids and he gets them all involved. He gets them all in the hobby. Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, they're all involved in the hobby because he is, and a lot of dads do the same thing. Moms too, and that's great. But when kids, I'm going to say kids, I mean anybody under about 30, when they get an intro to the hobby itself, like maybe they go to a car show or maybe they come to a swap meet or they see a cruise in and the club happens to be there hosting the thing, their introduction to the hobby may kind of tilt on how that club receives them and what kind of a welcome they get. I know you've done shows, Brent, a million times. What are some of the challenges you face when people come up to want to know, like, so tell me how this works and what's going on and where'd you come up with the idea to build this car? Is that an easy conversation, a regular conversation? How do you deal with that?
Oh, well, you've seen the last car, the boat tail, so it's a regular conversation.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, the same thing that I was taught. Every old timer that came into my shop brought new magazine in. Hey, I saw this in the magazine. I saw this in the magazine. I've got pallets of magazines in the shop. That's what I go for. Tell everybody, hop on the internet, find something. Somebody asked me, hey, I have this idea on what I want to do on a car. I say, hop on the internet, find something you like, and let's, work towards that. Magazine.
So it's like,
go ahead, Ron.
Like Wayne Gretzky, he says, you got to look where the puck's going to be, not where it's at, to try and determine where you want to be with your project.
Yeah,
not where you're at, and just keep striving and keep going forward for that hockey puck.
Yeah.
Well, I tell everybody, have an idea of where you want it to be, a style that you want, because you can get into a project and say, I want to do this one, and then your mind changes. Everything changes over time.
Yeah.
So the longer you're on, of course, the more it's going to change. I'm doing that with my dart. When I was 14 and I built my dart, I wanted to do everything with it. I wanted to tub it out. I wanted to roll cage in it. I wanted to drag race it.
Wow.
I wanted to road race it. I wanted to street or autocross.
Nice.
Now it's the one car I want to leave alone.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. I'm going to call this an advantage, but when you were young doing that kind of stuff, you had an advantage because your dad was a car guy and is a car guy. And, I'm sure he was all about, hey, if you want to do this, let's figure a way. And I'm sure he gave you a lot of guidance and help in the early days. And, that kind of thing is really important for any kid going into any sort of hobby. I mean, you got to have some support there. It's hard to do it on your own. But
definitely
clubs kind of, I don't know, I think this is true. Clubs take the form of mentor. I mean, I may not be your dad, but if you come over to the house and you happen to see me, bending wrenches and throwing things at the wall, you think that may be fun. I'll give you every piece of information that I have. And if I don't know it, I'll tell you I don't know it and we'll figure it out, if that's something that you're interested in. That's a really cool topic that I want to mess with. We got to do a spot break here. We're gonna play a commercial. We're gonna come back and let's talk about how you get kids involved in not only the sport but in clubs as well.
Okay.
All right, we'll come right back. The Idaho Hot Rod Hall of Fame is the only nonprofit organization that rewards men and women who actively promote the hot rod community, clubs, and builders all over the state of Idaho. Each year at our September awards banquet, we award a Hot Rodder of the Year, a Young Rodder of the Year, and Car Club of the Year, as well as giving out scholarship money to students in the auto trades programs at local colleges. If you want to nominate an honoree, go to idaho.org, our website, or you can email us or message us through our Facebook page. So before the break, we were kind of talking about how young folks, young hot rodders, or for that matter, older hot rodders who maybe have never built a car but want to get involved, how they're received by clubs and you know what the club experience does for somebody getting in. I mean, because they're really, if people don't have a lot of knowledge and they're looking to get involved, the club becomes, you know, the teacher in a lot of ways.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know, I mean, I've watched it happen at Brent's shows and Ron's shows too. Somebody will come up and go, how'd you come up with the idea to build this? And, you know, what kind of response they get is pretty important. Don't you think?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, if you don't do it right, you know, if you don't give them their sponsor, if you brush them off, why would they want to come back? You know? And
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
What about I've gotten this question a couple of times from other people. What about the young person that comes up and says, "Hey, I really like your 58 Buick, you know, Custom. It's really cool, but I can't afford that. I don't have that. But I do have, you know, a 94 Honda Civic over here that I want to start with something." What do you do with somebody like that? I mean, do you try to force them into, well, let's get rid of the Civic and get you a Buick, or do you say, well, let's take the Civic and see what we can do? You know, there's a lot of ways to go.
You work with what you got. You know, when I started in this sport, I started with a mini truck.
Yeah.
I started in mini trucks. I've done the imports. I've done the mud trucks. I've done the, you know, so there's nothing out there that's not my, you know, style. And running the muffler shop, I've learned to respect everybody's opinion. You know,
That's cool.
Hey, what are you looking to do? I can push you, you know, go talk to this guy because they can help you with this part. Go talk to this guy. They can help you with that part. You know, yeah, it might not be my style anymore, but it's still cool.
So you don't want to know that I had a Chevy Love truck?
I want a Love truck.
I
always wanted a Love truck.
They were kind of fun.
I love trucks. I love trucks.
You love trucks? Well, yeah, I mean, I have back in the day, and I'm talking 10, 12 years ago, when I first ran into Ron over on the west side of Washington, it was at one of his shows, and he had several of the club members there, and one of them, I was with a friend of mine who was a car guy. He's gone now, but one of the guys in Ron's club had a big Ford COE, a great big one, just really a monster truck that had got a lot of work done. And my friend loved cab over engine trucks, and he was just standing there with his nose right up. I mean, just drooling on this thing, going whoa, whoa, whoa. And I know what they are and everything, but I'm not a COE expert. So as it happened, it was John Beeston. I'll share his name because he's a nice guy.
Yes, he is.
But yeah, I mean, he happened to come over, and my friend basically grabbed him by the lapels and commanded his attention for about 40 minutes so he could figure out how to do this. And John's truck was quite involved. I mean, it was a long ways from stock. He had really fun stuff on it. And, I think John was primarily responsible for getting my friend off the I'll buy one all done train and onto I can make this my own train, which is much more fun. I think. But I mean, that's really important. How you're received is, I think, critical.
Oh yeah.
John has such a big heart. It doesn't matter. He'll give the shirt off his back if you need it. He's awesome.
That's good.
Well, I don't know. Mark asked him if he'd give him his truck, but he wouldn't do it.
No, he'll draw the line there.
Give you a ride, maybe.
Maybe give him a ride.
Yeah. So let me ask you, since you were Brent's company is Mufflers Plus in Post Falls. I'm going to plug that right now. But people come in. I mean, all kinds of vehicles come in to get exhaust systems on there. When you are just talking, your customers and stuff, the ones that have, 4 or 5 engines, 6 engines, 7 engines, 8 engines, 9 engines, 10 engines, 12 engines, 14 engines, 15 engines, 16 engines, 17 engines, 18 engines, 19 engines, 20 engines, 21 engines, 22 engines, 23 engines, 24 engines, 25 engines, 26 engines, 27 engines, 28 engines, 29 engines, 30 engines, 31 engines, 32 engines, 33 engines, 34 engines, 35 engines, 36 engines, 37 engines, 38 engines, 39 engines, 40 engines, 41 engines, 42 engines, 43 engines, 44 engines, 45 engines, 46 engines, 47 engines, 48 engines, 49 engines, 50 engines, 51 engines, 52 engines, 53 engines, 54 engines, 55 engines, 56 engines, 57 engines, 58 engines, 59 engines, 60 engines, 61 engines, 62 engines, 63 engines, 64 engines, 65 engines, sort of semi-custom projects. Do you see a trend in the kind of things that people are starting off their project cars?
Not really. Right now, we're getting into more modern muscle, I guess. You're seeing
Ah,
more Chargers, Challengers, Camaros,
yep.
Mustangs, more modern muscle, and they're not doing a bunch of them. A few years back, we had a big Audi,
Yeah.
well, they are the A8s, the Audi four-door sedans. We did a bunch of those, but yeah, right now I'd say it's more Chargers, Challengers,
How many
modern
members do you have, Brent? If you mind me asking, how many members do you have in your club that are active?
active members. So the way we do ours, everybody has to be active, or you get, and we don't because we're still small. We have with wives. I think we're at 19.
Oh, very good, very good. So, how does one
Yep.
become a member of your club?
You have to prospect. So what we do is we ask you to hang out with us. We want you to come to everything we do. We will talk to you. We'll talk as we will notice that you are prospecting or that you are following us around. We'll ask if you are interested in it. Then you'll prospect for a year. And at
Yep.
6 months, we'll have another meeting and say, hey, are you going to fit in with our family? Because that's what
Hmm.
we want. We
Yep.
want more of a family
Absolutely.
than,
Sure.
we're car guys. We do everything together, and we want the family. We
Yep.
go on vacations together. So
Yep.
we
Absolutely.
want you to fit. We don't want you to come and go and come and go. We want
Right.
somebody to come in and you're stuck for life.
A lot of
You're stuck.
clubs a lot of clubs, especially the ones I think that have been around for a while. I mean, we had the Pharaohs on last week, and they have a similar process. There's a get acquainted period. We can call it prospecting or whatever you want. But
Mhm.
there's some criteria like are you our kind of hot rodder? Are we your kind of hot rodder? We're going to work together as a unit. And part of that is you want somebody who's serious. Um, and part of that is just because you have a car doesn't necessarily mean, we're going to
Yep.
be a good fit.
You're
And
going to fit.
as an example, I will cite the Harley Davidson thing. When you buy a Harley Davidson, you automatically get a membership for a year in the Harley Owners Club.
So, I have a question: Is how does your club put on? Do you put on car shows, or do you do cruises? Do you plan a destination? And you all get together and go to that destination, or do you have
So
car shows, or how does that work?
we do both. We do next at the end of, where are we? We're in April, I guess. So at the end of the month, we're doing a swap meet at my shop.
Oh,
Everybody
right on.
gets together. We've all got to host it. Everybody's there to do the host, and we're all together, sell stuff early in the year. I think the next 3 weekends after that, we're meeting at different locations and cruising over to car shows together.
Would you call that a good
And then,
opportunity to get prospects for your club by having those kinds of events and
oh, definitely
screening people to be prospects to your club?
come hang out with us and see what
Mhm.
they are. We do a lot with our Facebook page, so we push a lot out
Oh,
there so
cool.
people get to watch. We're very very open on what we're doing. Hey, come do this, come do that. Occasionally we'll have a between members, but you have to do that for
Sure. How do you
admin stuff.
designate who leads? How do you designate who leads the cruise?
The slow guy.
I'm usually the slow guy as well.
I try. So we always try planning. We try to get somebody new to plan a cruise each time, and
Oh,
whoever
very
plans
cool.
the cruise is who leads it.
There you go. I like that.
It makes it
I
easier
like
because
that
they
a
know where
lot.
they're going. They have, they've done the route, so we try to do it that way.
I like that.
So we do a car show in August every year. We do it with Rathdrum does a barbecue. Taste of Rathdrum is what they call it. They do a
Oh,
barbecue
right on.
cook-off, and so we do a car show with them. We're going on our 4th year, I think, now doing it.
Oh,
And
right on.
we do 110 cars.
Oh, that's awesome.
We take the first year we did it, we did it as all of us, so we were in charge of the whole thing. We donated money to one of our members that got in an accident, so we helped pay some of his medical bills.
Very commendable.
One of the times we helped cover another one of our past members that she had a lung transplant and needed a little bit of help getting some of her deductibles done. So we helped with that.
That's awesome to do that. Cool.
And then this year We didn't have anybody, which was awesome. We didn't have anybody that was in need of money, so we used it to help my trip over to Ratstock.
Right on.
So.
I'm still waiting for the DVD to come out.
Yeah, they're working
Stock
on a
DVD.
bunch of stuff. They've been busy. I don't know about DVD, but on YouTube, they've been posting videos.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to come back in a minute here. That was pretty cool stuff. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about getting young riders into the sport. So stick with us. We will be back on the other side. There's a great new family-oriented nonprofit car club in Idaho.
We're the Rat Bastards, and we want you.
Welcome all hot rods, 1969 or earlier, and orphans.
And the rough is enough.
Rat Bastards. Real steel and iron hot rods.
We are the Rat Bastards, and we want you.
We're all about old school hot rods and rat rods.
We get together, help each other build, and cruise like crazy.
Because that's the way car clubs are supposed to be.
Join us for cruisings all over Idaho and Washington.
Joining the club is easy.
A bunch of rat bastards.
Contact us through our club Facebook page or come talk to us at any event.
We have cruisings the first and third Saturday of every month.
Check out our Facebook page for information.
Email us at ratbastardsidaho@gmail.com.
Rat Bastards!
We're charter sponsors of the Idaho State Hot Rod Hall of Fame and the Hot Rod Podcast.
Rat bastards.
Rat Bastards.
In the rough is enough.
It's not what you buy, it's what you build.
It's not what you buy, it's what you build.
It's not what you buy, it's what you build.
It's not what you buy, it's what you build.
It's the most fun you can have with your clothes on.
It's the most fun you can have with your clothes on.
The most fun you can have with your clothes on.
So this is pretty good. We're getting down towards the end of this, but one of the things that I still kind of want to look at is, you know, how you encourage young riders to get into the sport. We talked a little bit about, you know, how you respond to them when they come to you. And, you know, prospecting for a club is good. Not everybody wants to join a club, though. When we're at a show or a cruise in or something, they may not be interested in joining your club, but they really do want to get a positive experience, I think, you know, about the hobby. They come up and say, can I look at your car? Can I sit in your car? Can I touch your car? How'd you build your car? You know, the usual questions that people get when they don't have something that's just bone stock. So that... I've talked to enough young people about it. I think you guys have too. The response to those questions is whether or not they're going to continue. You know, they have, especially the younger people. And I'm going to pick on the under 30s, but it's not just that. For whatever reason, the attention span is a lot shorter now. If they get something that's
Be careful.
Well, but I mean, I think it's fair just because media is all about the 60 and 30-second sound bites. I mean, you know, it's quick stuff. If you get an initial positive response, they're likely to stay for the next question and the next question and the next. If there's, you know, well, we kind of don't do imports in our club. Okay, they're not coming back. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly.
Unless they are really excited about the cars that they see and the people that they hang with, they may you know, crash the idea of the rice grinder and get a old fashioned whole hot rod.
Well, they might, but so here's my thing. If all I've got is $500, I'm just picking a number. But if I've got $500 and all I can afford is, you know, a little Toyota, but it's my car and I want to do something with it and I want to have fun with it and I want it to be not stock. I want my stamp all over it, whatever that's going to be. If I bring that to the show or the cruise in or the gathering or the swap meet or whatever, and somebody says, yeah, not bad for a rice grinder, how are they going to receive that? You know, is that, I mean,
I knew the job was dangerous when they took it.
but you know, there's a real, like, you're an okay person, but your car sucks is kind of what, you know, how they might take that. And I don't want somebody to go away feeling like they're not right. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to start somewhere. So if that's
absolutely.
what they're into, you find out what they're into. And like the way I do it is, you know, where do you want to start? if you've got, like you said, you got $500 and this is what you've got,
Yeah.
then where do you want to go? Do you want the car lowered? What style are you going for in the long run?
Right.
So where should you start? You know, because a lot of the cars, same thing is everybody thinks you got to have clean paint or, you know, a nice body on there to make it look right. You know, get the stuff that you don't see so much. So
I saw an 85 Datsun station wagon today in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And he removed the muffler and put that big tailpipe on there. And
the boom can.
Yeah, and I'm going, imagine that, the littlest car in a lot trying to sound like the biggest one.
And more power to him. You know that. I mean,
and more power to him. I loved it.
I don't want him to come by at 3 a.m.
Patina green. You know, he had his hat on backwards. You know, he's really digging his car. I really liked it. I was impressed with it.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
See, and that's fun. My my ex neighbor, when I was still living on the other side, he showed up one day with a Datsun. Is it the B2000? The really old Datsun trucks, the pickup trucks.
Oh, the D21s.
But yeah, a little tiny thing. This was cool. It's the first thing he ever did. First, project he ever had. That's what he could afford. And he came over and he says, so I'm trying to get the engine out of this thing and I'm going to put something bigger in it. I said, okay, well, I'll help you take it out. We're all good. What do you got in mind? Well, he wanted to put a V8 in there. And I said, it's going to be a lot of work. You'll do it. I mean, you can get it in there. Maybe you want to think about a V6 or something, because that's, now you're talking framework, you're talking cutting the firewall out. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there. But you know what? To his credit, that was probably 12 years ago. He's still got that truck.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. He's got 3 others, but I mean, that's his baby. That was number one.
That's awesome.
And
all depends on your heart's desire and your dream,
Yeah.
And if once you figure out what their dream is and what their heart's desire is, then you have something to work with and trying to help them finish building their dream or be part of the club or not. Whether they be part of the club or not, you're still going to try and help them finish their dream. And maybe they'll be a club member, maybe they won't, but they're still going to have their dream, and you help them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think in the end, at least for me, getting some enthusiasm and some support from people who were older than I was when I first started, messing around with this stuff. And I'm not the greatest mechanic in the world, and I got lots and lots and lots to learn still. But it's cool to have those memories now, as I'm come on the other side of this stuff. I wouldn't be here doing this if I hadn't gotten some support from people who were a lot better at it
absolutely.
back in the day. You just wouldn't.
Well, that's what helps motivate you to help the young people.
Yes,
they see that and they want to be part of that and learn from that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and you always want your group, your hobby to grow. So, I mean, you're going to try help pushing the younger people or whoever, whoever wants to come up and ask. I get a lot of that. Where do I start? Well, what are you looking for? What do you got? What are your skills?
Right.
Go back to your comment earlier. Sometimes it is. You need to get started. I tell a lot of people, find a 50s car and start with a 50s car, whether it runs and drives. So find a full body car, start with that.
Yeah.
Then later on work on getting into an open wheel car or whatever you want from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there are some people who will stick with a particular style that they know that they love, that they feel comfortable with, and they're never going to build a car from scratch, and they're never going to buy a hot rod. I'm going to stick with, unibody cars or whatever, this is what I like because I'm okay with that. Good for them.
Yes.
Good for them. I had a really good friend who over on the other side, who was a station wagon guy.
I love wagons.
What's wrong with wagons?
Nothing. But I mean, that was his hot button, Ooh, he would just see a Buick Vista Cruiser. I'm building that, Well, okay. Yeah. If that was his passion, good for him. And he had some fun cars too. I mean, really good stuff.
My second car was a 1955 Shorty wagon. It was a 4-door shortened to a 2-door.
I've seen pictures of that.
Yes. Yeah. Now I have a 56. I'm rebuilding my childhood dream slowly but surely.
That's great. Well, my childhood dream was a 1956 Buick Roadmaster Riviera.
Almost have one for you.
Oh gosh, someday I will find one that I can afford. That may be the final build. But oh god, we had the big nail head in that thing. It was a road boat, but it was cool.
Nice. Was it the straight 8?
No, it's V8. Big nail head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Nailhead,
Oh yeah, Nail Hill. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. I think 372, I think was what it was. It was the biggest engine you could get in 56, whatever one that is.
Nice.
My mother, who was 5'2" and about, a buck, she drove that thing and loved it. She was
Did.
a terror on that thing. Good stuff. Hey, so I got one other question, and this is something that I think everybody finds one. But we're talking about, again, getting new people into the sport regardless of their age. What are some of the challenges that as a hot rodder and as a club president, what are some of the challenges that you face with people coming in, and how are you dealing with those challenges to keep the sport alive?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. Well, always keeping people. You're talking about the attention there. You get people come in, you get them. There is, we'll say the attention. That's what it is. A lot of people come in, they're gung ho for 6-8 months, especially for us because we have a winter here. So we don't get people all year long. They're there for the first season, kicking butt, and then boom, they're gone. Never see them again.
Winter hits.
That's how we do it. Keeping people around is always a hard thing. We try doing shop days and stuff, but people you still don't feel comfortable. A lot of people are shy anymore. A lot of it's not.
Yeah. They're afraid.
I mean, we all grew up where we knocked on the neighbor's door and we didn't care who we were talking to. We seen a car in the backyard, we knocked to it.
Yeah.
We're afraid to do that.
Yeah.
All
they can do is say no. That's what my motto was. Ask away. All they can do is say no. Well, now you might get met with a shotgun. You never know what's going to happen.
Zero contact now. So, a lot of people don't want to talk to you. They're hard
Get
to
away from the door. Get away from the door. Okay, I'm out of here.
I have dogs.
To you.
Yeah.
So that's a hard part.
Yeah.
Well, the finances is always a hard thing with,
yes.
Rent's quadrupled in price around here lately.
Easily.
So,
yeah. Easily.
How do you go build a project car if you can barely cover your rent? We talked about this in the letter we did for that thing on the rent. It's not where when we were younger, you might have had a roommate. You were all into the same things. Now you're an adult. You have your family. You have somebody else's family living with you. You have 2 parking spots in the front yard. So you've got to do something that you can.
Yep.
Well, see, that's one thing, Brent, about the club is you can network with your membership and help people with their project. Not do it for them, but you can network with them. And one guy will have a heater hose or a radiator hose. One guy will have a pulley, and another guy will have a set of points, plug wires, and you're contributing to a family member, which is now a club member or prospect, and you like the guy. He's wholehearted. He's willing to help you with yours, and you're willing to help him with his. And that's kind of how you kind of build a family: is you share and give. You find out who loves you and who don't love you, who's going to help, who's not going to help. Kind of weeds out the riffraff, and then at the end, you got a great club member who's got a pretty cool car.
Pretty straightforward.
Well, I know, Ron, you ain't been by my place, but Brady has, and I've got my personal junkyard in the back, so I help a lot of stuff out.
Not a junkyard. That's a treasure trove of valuable items.
It depends on what
my neighbor calls it a bunch of trash.
A man of no vision, clearly.
No vision. Yeah. He's new there too. I said, "Well, you knew. I guess you made a mistake by moving in there, didn't you?"
There you go. Well, I wish that we had more time. We're getting down to the end of it, but Brent, I want to thank you for coming by. I mean, it's just great to have you. It's always a pleasure. And we're going to come back next week with part 3. We've got a great club coming next week. Not that the North Idaho Rats and Customs aren't a great club. By the way, you can find Brent's club on Facebook, North Idaho Rats and Customs. And you can also, if you happen to be in the North Idaho area, you can stop by his shop. That's Mufflers Plus it's on Mullen, I guess, sort of, and Chase. Yep. But you can find it. It's easy enough. But yeah, thanks so much for coming by. And Ron,
thanks,
it's a pleasure with you. And everybody else, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. That's it for this episode of the Hot Rod Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to our show, and we appreciate it if you smash those notification buttons too, so you'll know when a new one drops. For Ron Foreman, I'm Brady Wright. This has been the Hot Rod Podcast. We'll see you on the next one.